All right, sorry for the delayed start time. Some things came up right at 25 after 6. I apologize, but I'd like to open this meeting at 6:35. Regular town boarding, it's Wednesday, August 30th. Will everybody please rise for a pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda, does anybody have any public comments, questions on agenda items only? If you do, please approach the podium.
Hi, Jill Fieldstein, Dover Plains. Just a question about the public hearing on the solar law. I understand a draft has been revised and it's not been made available to the public yet. So, is the public hearing still open, or what's the?
Council, you want to answer that, or you want me to? It's still going to be, we're going to open it.
The
We're going to open it, we're going to discuss it. We have a presentation from the chairman.
It's going to be kept open.
There are some legality questions that we have to research that have not been answered to us yet, but we will keep it open.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing nobody approaching the podium, at this time, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing on a draft solar energy system development. At this time, I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Deputy Supervisor House to open a public hearing on solar energy legislation. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So carried, one absent. Public hearing is now open. I'm going to invite Rich Renia, the chairman of our committee, to first speak on it, and then we'll go from there.
Good evening. So we had, as a committee, gotten together and worked on the solar, on a brand-new solar ordinance, because the town of Dover does not have one, and that's for solar energy projects. There's one solar energy project in town right now, located just south of the Dover High School on Route 22. That's a 2-megawatt facility, just to give everybody some perspective of what size that is. So the legislation would include regulating facilities like that and larger, but also it'll cover anybody who wants to do solar in their backyard or for their own houses. We developed an initial draft that went to the town board. That was then given and circulated within the town, within the different groups within the town, such as the planning board, zoning board. We received comments back. The planning board, the individuals, their consultants, their planner, and their attorney all commented back. We got really good comments back, and some of them made a lot of sense. So as a committee, we went through those, pulled some more information back into the draft law, and then provided a new version back. That new version, we have some very specific questions that I know that the town attorney is working on, and a couple of those deal with the committee is looking for what we're calling these medium-sized to large-sized community solar, which would be 1-megawatt facilities and up. For the town, if there's a way for the town residents, or for the town energy grid, or just the local energy grid itself, to get some sort of a benefit. So we're hoping that there's a way that that we can get a benefit locally, rather than power just being made and it goes out into the larger wholesale energy grid, as I like to call it, which is kind of what Cricket Valley does. It just goes into the transmission lines and it's there to support the entire region, not just our local side. So we're looking for a way. We're hoping that there's a way where there can be a benefit. It doesn't necessarily have to be one specific benefit for the town or money, but we're thinking that if it's at least improvements to the grid or resiliency, different things like that, because we all know that, that we all depend on the power grid. So we'd like to see if there's a way to do that. And I know, like I said, the town attorney is working on that. The other thing that we think is really important, and we're looking for the legal input on, is how to maintain a decommissioning bond. That's something that we think is very important on these facilities. The committee's just come back and back to this question again. What happens to these facilities, say 20, 25 years down the road? Because we know that the solar panel technology is only good for so long, and there is a point in time where they become obsolete. And we don't want the producers or somebody that got approvals on it to just be able to walk away from a site and 20 years down the road or 25 years down the road, we have multiple sites that just look like abandoned sites. We want the town to be able to have the money and the resources available that if somebody were to walk away from their project, that the town could go in and decommission it or pay somebody to decommission it and basically not have an eyesore there. We think that that's very important to the public.
Now, part of the legality of that is, can we, what's the proper word? Can we update that every 3, 4, or 5 years? That's
Yeah.
part of what we're looking into,
Yeah, so
correct?
that's one of the things that we proposed in the law, that we
The
thought
bond.
that a bond should be looked at, and that the actual special permit should be renewed every 5 years. Because whatever the bond is calculated at year 1, in year 20 or year 25, it's going to cost a lot more than what it might cost in the beginning.
Okay.
So we're looking for a way to do it. We suggested, if the town, the cleanest or the nicest way for the town is if you can hold escrow. But we know we can't hold somebody's escrow money forever and ever. But other options are doing a bond, maybe similar to how like a road bond is done, that it's released as you meet certain requirements, but at the end of a period of time, that it could be released and a new one done. And maybe that's all tied into the special permit process, that it's only good for so long. But we might be onto something with the 5-year renewal portion of it.
Which would help out with the increase or even decrease down the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
But the lifespan, it would have to be in place for what? 15? Is it 15 or 20?
The typical
seen both.
lifespan that people talk about is 20 years.
20, okay.
But as technology increases, it could get better. We're just not sure because it's such a new evolving technology. Solar panels have been just, from the 90s, from the 1990s, solar panels have every year they get a little bit more efficient.
Council, you have anything you want to say on this?
No, Richard sent me an email, and I'm looking into these issues regarding potential conflicts with the Commerce Clause for requiring some type of benefit to the town. So we're looking into that, and I hear the committee's concerns. It's also, I know the town board's concerns regarding decommissioning, and I'm pretty confident we could come up with some type of language that would pass legal muster that will protect the town as best as can be protected in the event that these fields and panels become obsolete. We don't want the developer to just
Walk away.
and if the resident doesn't clean up the property, then you're stuck with a field of inoperable solar panels. So that's what we're trying to prevent. So those are two of the big issues. I've also spoken to the code enforcement officer regarding some of his concerns. So we're working through.
I know that the question is whether it's a certified or qualified, right? And a certified, was the word certified or qualified electrician? That came up in conversation, which Dutchess County doesn't require,
A license.
licensed.
Correct. So it can't be a licensed electrician to sign off on it because Dutchess doesn't require a license like Westchester, Putnam, and other counties. So we'll work through it. We're working through it. But I think, obviously tonight if the public wants to comment, but the public hearing should be kept open. I think the draft should that it's a workable draft at this point, even though there's concerns, and that's what public hearings are for, that I would put it out to the public. Keep it open to the next meeting and the next meeting thereafter, if necessary, as we work through the legal issues. And then once we have a final draft, we'll see if it's significant enough of a change that it triggers a new public hearing or not.
Rich?
So aside from that, I think it's probably important for the public to understand that the committee's recommendations and the carve-outs were understanding that it's not just energy producers who might want to install solar, that there's a lot of homeowners, but we don't want them done in a dangerous way or in a haphazard way. So the Tier 1 energy systems is really about the homeowner or the private property owner or even the small commercial property owner for doing an individual solar energy system on your property or for your building. Those are basically, there's a little bit more detail in the proposed code, but we're looking at the Tier 1 being 50 kW kilowatts for roof-mounted systems, 50 kW for ground-mounted systems, and then up to 100 kW for on-farm solar. So we did a separate carve-out for farms because we thought that that's important. We'd like to, everything that we've been doing, everything with the comprehensive plan is to support farms and to try to enhance and get more agricultural going here. So they might need a little bit more power if they're trying to power a barn or different resources on a farm. So those three that I mentioned, there's no planning board involved with that. That's something that you handle directly through the building department. That would be a unified solar permit and a building permit. So we think that that's very important too, and we don't want people to be worried that the law is going to change something that they've kind of already been doing to those who have put, say, solar shingles on or something like that. So I think that's important to point out.
Thank you. Any board members? Councilwoman Jackson?
No questions, thank you.
Councilman Maluta?
No, this is part of the, everybody's looking for the green energy, Green New Deal, green this. I know plenty of people that want to put solar panels on their roof, but they're worried about it, and they're also, like you said, solar shingles are a new thing. The technology is evolving rapidly, and you can get more power out of a smaller footprint, and it's the ways and the means, and it's all coming on. We got to work through this. So I think it's a good idea to dot the i's, cross the t's, and move forward with it. It's coming one way or another. We just got to keep ahead of it and what benefit it has to the town.
Thank you. Deputy?
Just want to make it clear that in regards to electrical contractors, that most of their work would fall under having to get a CO to have a electrical inspector come out and sign off on that. So it's not a free-for-all by any means. I mean,
No.
certainly that there's inspections done, just that our county itself doesn't require a license.
Correct.
Council, anything else?
No, I'm good.
Rich, I want to thank you once again and your committee. This turned out to be, truthfully, in my eyes, I think harder than what we thought it was going to be, but
It's very complicated. There's
And
a
once it was
lot of
written, there
pieces
were
here.
loopholes came up that we didn't see until it was written, until we
Yeah.
started researching. Tom and I have been emailing and talking for weeks now, it seems like. And, but I want to thank you and your committee. I thank you for the continued work that you'll be doing down the road. I appreciate it. On behalf of the board, thank you to all of you. And we'll hammer it out, because that's
Yep.
what we got to do.
And we're continuing to work on the updated zoning as well, too.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank
Rich.
you.
Thanks.
At this time, the public hearing is open. If anybody has any questions and/or comments, please approach the podium. Nobody? Okay, go ahead.
My name is Christopher Ross. I work for RIC Energy. We're the company that submitted the Wingdale Solar application for a 5 megawatt solar project located between Route 22 and Route 55, north of Wingdale Elementary School. I'm here tonight to provide a developer's perspective on the law. Specifically at the company, I handle the siting of solar projects, so I've reviewed hundreds of solar laws across the state. I've seen all sorts of shades, and I've seen what works and what doesn't with the intent of regulating solar, but having kind of an adverse effect of eliminating it or prohibiting it. So I did prepare a presentation I'd like to give, a PowerPoint, if I could set that up. Is that?
I didn't hear about this before.
Yeah,
Do you have a thumb drive and perhaps?
I do have a laptop I could set up, but
We weren't prepared for this. I wish you would have reached out earlier.
We don't,
okay.
we already use a LED projector, so if you didn't have a thumb drive, we don't have the ability just to set things up again.
Well,
Okay.
I'm gonna make you an offer, because it already seems like I'm gonna have to keep this open, and I'm gonna have a special meeting. And if the board will be okay with this, I'll invite you here September 13th.
Yeah, that would be great.
Council, is that,
Yeah, that's fine. Then you could get a thumb drive and speak to the clerk in advance, and we could have you set up for your presentation as part of your comment.
board members okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I think it would be in our best interest to actually view it and
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah, it's really, the goal is just to take what was in the existing draft and go through the process of elimination. We looked at the entire town of Dover, the 2 distribution networks that serve the town, one in the north, Dover Plains, the other in the south, which is 10 Mile River. Those are the 2 substations. And slowly narrow down, based on what's in the law, the parcels that are available, and then the developer considerations that aren't in the law, things like wetlands and floodplains, topography that really narrow down the available parcels. And I think the total came to fewer than a dozen sites that comply fully with the law as written. So it was to present that perspective and perhaps propose some changes that might allow for smaller sites that are more suitable, that may not be as detrimental or would be better locations given the town's concerns. I did just from the last public comment just clarify a couple things. One, these solar projects are connecting directly to the distribution networks, which do serve residences, businesses, municipal buildings. So any power that's being generated by a community solar project would be consumed locally. It's not being sent to a transmission line and off to other towns. And the second thing is, with regard to decommissioning, we are seeing in a number of towns a condition of the special use permits be a periodic review of that cost estimate prepared by a third party. It's very, very common, and would strongly encourage it. As a developer, as you pointed out, Rich, that it could go either way. Right now, the panels themselves can't be recycled. There's no way to separate the silicon from the other materials in there that generate the power. So in the future, there may be a way to salvage that and increase the salvage value of the project, which would have impact the cost estimate in the developer's favor. So it's something we encourage, but it's definitely a good idea.
One question I have to ask, Chairman, do you feel this would be our best interest to listen to this and see it?
The way that we operate the committee is to listen to everybody,
Okay.
every side of every discussion point.
I wanted your opinion first. All
Absolutely.
right, so we're good with that. And if I may ask, would you give us a list of those towns? So we can maybe go and research what they do? Our secretary for planning and the secretary for the committee is sitting here tonight.
Yep.
If you can email that to myself, I'll forward it to her, and that way we can see what they have written down, right?
Sure. Absolutely, we could definitely provide
Can't
some
hurt us,
examples.
no, Tom?
Absolutely.
All right?
No, the committee's
But if you, yeah, I mean, I'm more than willing to have you come here on the 13th if you would.
Again, this isn't, obviously we have an interest in the outcome of this. This project had been in development for a few years now, and we put the brakes on once we learned that the town was going into a moratorium. But really, we're here to help you guys present a different perspective, because I think a lot of developers wouldn't provide that.
No, I thank you for that, but it's, again, it's our job to make sure it's right,
Absolutely.
and I think that's where we're at.
Okay.
Okay? If you can reach out after the meeting or whatever to our clerk, and we'll set that day up and what we need to have for you to be prepared, whether it's just a thumb drive or if we need to have you hook up to something.
Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate you coming. Anybody else? Seeing no one else approaching the podium, based on the information that we've heard tonight and what we need to consider, I move that we keep the public hearing open until at least the 13th of September, which that will be a scheduled special meeting for the 13th of September, probably for more items than that. I was talking about it for some other issues anyway. I'll make the motion that we schedule a special meeting on the 13th of September to keep this public hearing open
Let's just give them a time.
at 6:30.
So moved.
Second.
Second, motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So carried, one absent. Council, did we miss anything?
Nope, we're good.
Okay,
Just marking it, it's kept open.
all right. Reports from the Recreation Department and the Highway Super. Jason, you want to start us off while I find Julie's that she sent me? Please?
Jason Satori, Dovertown Highway Super. Throughout the month of August, the Highway Department has been working hardly to complete repairing the damages to Ridge Road, Corbin Road, Hallsapple Road, Cooperstown Road, and Blackberry Road. The damages were sustained from the July 9th and 10th torrential rains that we had in the storm. Everything is almost back to 100% complete. We're probably 99.9% complete with everything. So we're 2 months behind on our regular work that we usually do this time of year. So we're in the process now of moving forward and getting everything else caught up as fast as we can. I'd like to thank Assemblyman A.J. Bifan and Senator Michelle Hinchy and their staff for their quick response to our needs for a bridge on Ridge Road, Mills Bridge as we call it. We would like to thank the DEC, the New York State DOT, Joe Berger and Berger Engineering, in helping expedite emergency permits for Mills Bridge. We cannot touch anything in the water or anything until the DEC says you're good to go. And we had to wait for them to get here. They were here a lot faster than a lot of times, which helped us out so we could continue on. I know a lot of people are excited and want to hurry up and get the bridge open. It's not up to me, it's up to the DEC and what they determine and allow us to do. They allowed us and gave us permission to do what we needed to do. So hopefully the Mills Bridge here should be opened before the new school year. But down the road, the bridge might have to be replaced or will be replaced at some point. So again, it will be closed. We'll have a period of maybe a month or two or whatever to replace it. But right now, it'll be open and everything is fine with it. I would also like to thank my hardworking team for the 120% effort in getting the roads back to normal. And I would also like to thank my assistant Terry for gathering all the information for the work that we've done, hour-wise, equipment-wise, material-wise, that we have to give to FEMA, because we are dealing with FEMA with this project, and which we start and have a meeting on Tuesday for. And we work with them now and put everything together so we get reimbursed for the money that we put into it. It usually takes a couple of months to get through that process, and we start Tuesday with that process. And that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Jason. And again, on our behalf, thank your guys. Thank you, Terry. Thank you to you.
Yes.
You know, just the initial assessment like we talked about last month, and it'll probably go up from there, but the initial assessment was over $750,000 out of our money, first and foremost, until we get some of it back.
Get it all back.
Hopefully, well, we never get all of it, but hopefully most of it.
But we should.
But
Close to it.
the guys went at it, and I do have to reiterate, thank you to our assemblyman and our senator.
Yes.
They were out here, and within 2 days, we were getting paperwork processed.
Yes.
And then the meeting with DEC finalized that paperwork. So
Yes.
faster than it ever has been before
Yes.
in the years that I've been here.
And most likely because it was an emergency situation, you know, and it was good for DEC, they come right here and they look over the situation, discuss it first, and grant us the information or the permit right there.
I think the point we made is that emergencies were declared by both the state and the county, and the permit still could not be issued without a point of order from the governor's office.
Yes.
And our question is she's already declared an emergency, what's the problem? And they didn't know the answer, but they made a phone call that day from
Yes.
the road, remember?
Yep.
And they got an answer, and things took off from there. So hopefully, maybe our situation helped things.
Right.
Along with Pauling, who's at $8.9 million right
Yeah,
now.
right.
So, we're good. But thank you to your guys, Terry as well, and everybody else that's helped you through shared services and everything else, getting roads opened.
Thank you.
Yep. Recreation report. Julie wanted me to tell everybody hello from Greece, because that's where she is this week, for a very beautiful family wedding. Recreation report, very successful day camp and playground program. Thank you to all the campers, the parents, and the counselors for a great summer. It went very well. Dover Day is fast approaching on Saturday the 16th, starting at 11. Parade is starting at 11:30, step off for the parade. We will be starting our opening ceremony right after that. If anyone would like to participate as a vendor or as a sponsor, please contact the Recreation Office at 845-832-9168. The summer theater program was a great success with the production of Grease, the school edition. We had a great turnout every day, and we are so proud of all of our performers. They did an amazing job, and their voices were spectacular. Thank you to all the parents and the supporters. Halloween Trunk or Treat will be held on Saturday, October 28th at 1 p.m. at Boyce Park. Holiday Fest and Christmas tree lighting will be on Friday, December 1st this year at 6:30 p.m. at Boyce Park. Senior program on Monday and Thursdays from 9:30 to 2:30 at the American Legion in Wingdale. And she'd like to thank her staff, Paula, Doty, Sean, and Paul, for all the hard work this summer and getting through it. And add anything else. Oh, that's to me. Add anything else you think you might have missed. So, again, the camp went very well. They had one little hookup with the swimming arrangement that we had, but Pauling, we reached out. Pauling helped us. They brought us right in, and they didn't really miss a beat. So, along with that, I will go over to reports of the supervisor and town board members. Councilman Maluta, you can go first.
No report.
Okay.
Quiet.
Councilwoman Jackson.
The Dover Plains Library has asked me to remind people that there's a Friends group, an advocacy group for the library, if anybody wants to join. And school starts on September 7th, this Thursday. So I'd like to remind everybody not to pass buses with the red lights on. Please be careful around the students that are getting on the bus and at bus stops.
Thank you. Deputy Supervisor House.
This month, we've taken delivery of some additional equipment down at the J.H. Ketchum Memorial Park, some benches and some new garbage cans, and the kind of the fifth and final piece to our outdoor workout equipment, which is a two-person elliptical, which we hope to have installed here in the upcoming weeks. So that is kind of all the works. We've got a new aerator going in the pond down at Boyce Park. We just got that ordered, which will be good. So we hope to have that installed before Dover Day, which of course will help kind of clean that pond up some as well. So all stuff in the works. We've also got the bids are in for the bathroom project. The contractors aren't vetted yet, so we're not ready to award that yet. But that'll be our fall project. So we're keep moving along.
Excellent.
You want to speak on the pond project at all, other than the fountain yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Because we're still in the beginning stages there.
Okay. All right, Supervisor's report. As Julie said, Dover Day is coming. We're looking for a lot of participation. It's a fun day for everybody. And then we end the day with the firework display. Once again, there are a few things that came up. As you all know, I do try to keep up the speed on the social media. So I'll answer a couple questions. It appears that we lost a business this past week. So once again, for the third or fourth time since I've been in this seat, I've reached out to two different businesses CrasdaleFoods.com. Thank you, Terry, for throwing me that name. Jason's Terry up there. And I also reached out once again to Aldi's. I explained to both of them that we do have available properties throughout our town from one end to the other, town line to town line. And I also explained that we do have a space that has opened up that may be available. And I asked that somebody reach out to me and at least have a conversation, whether it be by phone, Zoom, or in person. So for those critics out there that say we don't look, you're wrong. Second, the telephone pole at Mill Street and Route 22, I want to thank the several residents that reached out to me the day it was discovered. Troopers were aware of it. There were pictures taken. NYSEG is aware of it. I answered a comment the other day. It's a big job. Everything in that area is attached to that pole. So there needs to be a plan put in place. Parts and items have been ordered. They weren't just there available in their yards. They do have to order some things. So I'm hoping that I hear some word in the next week or so about how they plan about doing that job. Because again, everything in the center of town is attached to that pole. Utilities, power, transformers, everything. And there's not a lot of room to work there, and it's right dead center of a sidewalk. So hopefully I'll have a plan. So that's being taken care of. And the last thing I have is anybody in this town, you're all owners of our properties. You're all taxpayers in one way or another. But in order to use a facility, in order to use a field for whatever endeavor you want to achieve or have put in place, you must go through the town first, especially our recreation fields. You cannot take it upon yourself just because it's a town-owned thing that you can go ahead and use it. If you want to start something up and provide a service to our residents, you must come and get permission, you must fill out the proper paperwork, and you must provide both insurance, liability, and whatever else we recommend. Don't post it on social media saying, I'm going to do a clinic, when you haven't talked to anybody yet. But I take that from where it came from. So you want to use our facilities, you want to use our fields, you'll reach out to this office first or the recreational office. And that's all I have to say on that. Special meetings. We already know we are now going to be the September 13th, but it is budget season. I sat down today with our bookkeeper and we started the process. So here are the meetings coming up for the next 3 months. September 13th, which we just scheduled tonight. That will be a special meeting now with the public hearing on solar and the possibility of awarding the bids that we took in yesterday, once the contractors are vetted. September 27th will be the regular scheduled meeting. We will then schedule October 11th and the 25th of October. You'll be getting your budgets presented to the clerk and then presented to you, the board members. November will be going on the 8th. That is my plan for the public hearing on the budget. And due to the fact that by law we have to have it approved before or on the 20th of November, our regular meeting would be the 22nd. So we will have to go November 8th for the public hearing, and then a week later on the 15th to approve. Those are the dates that we have penciled in at this time. And at that,
All 6:30.
all at 6:30, sorry, yes. Anything else? Madam Clerk, did I remember everything? Okay. Been a long day. Okay, with that, we go right into the resolutions. Resolution to authorize and approve consent agenda items. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Dover does hereby approve the following items for consideration and adoption on the August 30th, 2023 Town Board regular meeting consent agenda. Authorize payment of Abstract 8 of 2023 in the amount of $374,847.43. Accept the minutes of the town board meeting of July 26th, 2023. Approve the town clerk's report of July 2023. Approve the town supervisor's financial report for July of 2023. Authorize budget transfers, budget amendments, and payment of off abstract purchase orders as prepared and submitted by the town's bookkeeper. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Brought by House, seconded by Maluta. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried, one absent. Resolution authorizing supervisor to execute subscription agreement to TextMyGov software app. Whereas the town of Dover desires to enter into a 2-year agreement with TextMyGov to engage with town of Dover residents for municipal alert notifications to enhance timely communication. And now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Dover does hereby authorize the town supervisor to execute a 2-year agreement with TextMyGov at a cost of $13,250, which shall be paid from ARPA funds received by the town of Dover. Be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Dover does hereby authorize the necessary budget modifications in the amount of $7,800 to amend the 2023 budget by an increase to revenue account A 4089001, an increase to expenditure account A 16804,400 for use of ARPA funds. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Brought by Maluta, seconded by Jackson. Discussion. This is what we brought up last month. Everybody was agreed to give this a shot for 2 years. I feel it's a good move. That's my opinion. Any other discussion? Hearing no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So carried, one absent. Resolution authorizing New York State DEC request for fishing access signage on certain town of Dover parcels. Whereas the town of Dover has been contacted by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, New York State DEC, requesting access to certain town of Dover parcels, including but not limited to a town-owned parcel on Route 55 in the town of Dover to install signage to identify access rights to anglers, stock trout, and allow New York State DEC to highlight access permits on their info locator. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Dover hereby authorizes the New York State DEC access to town of Dover owned parcel on Route 55 in the town of Dover to install signage for anglers, stock trout, highlight locations, and authorizes the town supervisor to execute any and all documents required with New York State DEC to effectuate this agreement. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Brought by House, seconded by Maluta. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried, one absent. Resolution authorizing release of performance bond. Whereas Rising Star Infratech Corp. posted a performance bond in the amount of $38,350 in connection with a bid award for the American Legion Stairway Project. And whereas the town board of the town of Dover rescinded the bid awarded to Rising Star Infratech Corp. for the American Legion Stairway Project. And whereas Rising Star Infratech was not paid money for this project and has removed its equipment from the job site. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Dover hereby authorizes the release of the performance bond in the amount of $38,350 to Rising Star Infratech Corp. in connection with the American Legion Stairway Project. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Brought by Maluta, seconded by Jackson. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried, one absent. Resolution scheduling public hearing on a proposed local law amending Chapter 131 of the Town Code entitled Taxation. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Dover desires to pass a local law to amend Chapter 131 of the Town Code of the Town of Dover entitled Taxation to amend the limits for the current exemptions for seniors and to add an exemption for low-income disabled residents to the Town of Dover in Article 2 of Chapter 131. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Dover does hereby schedule a public hearing seeking public comment on a proposed local law to amend Chapter 131 of the Town Code of the Town of Dover, amending Article 2 entitled Senior Citizen Exemptions by amending the income levels to increase the income limits and to add a new exemption for low-income disabled residents for Wednesday, September 27th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as public comment can be heard at Dover Town Hall, 126 East Duncan Hill Road, Dover Plains, New York. And be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish public notice of the proposed local law in the official newspaper of the town of Dover. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Brought by Jackson, seconded by House. Any discussion? This was brought to us by our assessor, as well as down from the state. And after looking at it and studying it and having council review it, we feel this is more than proper and needs to be done for our residents here in Dover. Any other discussion? Hearing no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So carried, one absent. Resolution authorizing the scheduling of a public hearing on draft sustainability chapter to the comprehensive plan, update and preparation of seeker review documentation. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Dover does hereby authorize the scheduling of a public hearing in connection with the draft sustainability chapter to the comprehensive plan update and for the preparation of the seeker review documentation for Wednesday, September 27th, 2023 at 6:30, or as soon thereafter as a public comment can be heard at Dover Town Hall, 126 East Duncan Hill Road, Dover Plains, New York. There's a typo there. Do you see that? It says Dover Hills. Be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish notice of this public hearing in the official newspaper of the town of Dover. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Brought by Maluda, seconded by House. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you like to say anything on this?
Certainly. Back in 2019, the town received a DEC grant through our Climate Smart Communities program to create a sustainability chapter as a supplement to the comprehensive plan. It's a non-binding, as is the comprehensive plan update itself, but recommended activities from the comprehensive plan that focus on sustainability in basically areas of reducing, reusing, repurposing, energy efficiency, renewable energy sources, alternative modes of transportation, conservation of natural resources, and smart growth policies. And so it's a special chapter that takes ideas from the comprehensive plan and creates a separate plan so that perhaps a group, Sustainable Dover, might want to help the town complete some of these special projects. So the next step would be that the plan is near completion, this chapter, but we need to hold a public hearing just like it would be for a comprehensive plan. And our goal is to hope to have the town board adopt it by the end of the year. So we're just moving it the next step for public comment.
It'll be a busy night. Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So carried, one absent. Resolution authorizing 2022 Town of Dover Firefighters Length of Service Award Program, LoSAP filing.
You should let somebody else.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. At this point in time, I'm going to turn this over to Deputy Supervisor House. I will recuse myself from this reading due to the fact that I am a member of the J.H. Ketchum Hose Company and I could possibly benefit from this program.
Resolution authorizing the 2022 Town of Dover Firefighters Length of Service Award Program, LoSAP, filing. Whereas the Town of Dover adopted a Length of Service Awards Program, LoSAP, for the members of the J.H. Ketchum Hose Company, which provides fire and emergency services to the Town of Dover. Whereas the Town of Dover received the 2022 annual report of the Town of Dover Volunteer Firefighter Service Award Program. Whereas, based on the 2022 annual report, the Town of Dover's calendar year for 2023 contribution to the Volunteer Firefighters Defined Contribution Service Award Program Trust Fund for the program year 2022 is $20,651.48. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Dover does hereby accept the Annual Length of Service Awards, LoSAP, report for 2022, prepared by Penflex, Inc. of Latham, New York, in the form and content as is on file in the office of the Town Clerk. Be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Dover hereby authorizes and directs payment of the Volunteer Firefighter Defined Contribution Service Award Program Trust Fund for the program year 2022 in the amount of $20,651.48. Can I have a motion to accept the resolution?
So moved. Second.
Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried.
Thank you, Andrew. You have one more, I don't know if it's...
Notice of appeal.
That's it. Resolution authorizing the filing of notice of appeal. Whereas the Town of Dover is a defendant in the Article 78 litigation in Dutchess County Supreme Court, index number 2023-5076. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Dover does hereby authorize Special Counsel Rodenhausen, Chale, and Polidoro, LLP, to file a notice of appeal, a notice to appeal, to preserve the Town of Dover's right to appeal. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Brought by House, seconded by Maluta. Discussion. Counsel, you want to explain that?
Yeah, so the town received a decision earlier in the week on an Article 78 it's a defendant in. The special counsel asked that the town board tonight, we knew had a meeting, to pass a resolution authorizing a filing of a notice of appeal. Now, to be clear, a notice of appeal is not an appeal. It just is a required act when a decision is rendered by a judge to preserve the town, or in this case, the town or any party's right to appeal. Doesn't mean that an appeal will be filed, doesn't mean the judge's decision will ultimately be appealed, but it just gives time for everybody to review the decision, digest it, and then make a informed decision down the road. Without filing a notice of appeal after the time had run, the party would be barred from ever appealing the decision. So it just preserves a right.
This gives us the right
It's
to
a
do
ministerial action.
that. Again, we haven't even met on it yet. Discussions haven't been held at length. This is just giving us the opportunity if we choose to do so, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried, one absent. At this point in time, any public comments? If you have any comments, questions, or statements, please approach the podium. Seeing nobody approaching the podium, I will make a motion that we go into an executive session to discuss litigation issues. Upon our executive session, we will not be returning to the dais. We will be ending in executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion made by myself and seconded by Deputy Supervisor House to enter into an executive session and not return to the dais. I've already talked about the upcoming meetings. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Thank you, everybody, and safe trip home.